Hi, everybody. It's the Dead Air Horror Review Show, and we are back in full force. It's TJ, it's Chris. We watched uh, the much lauded 2023 film When Evil Lurks. This is, I will say,
Going to
as
point to
much
it on
as
the screen when it pops up on our
as much
YouTube
as
video.
I like to give the internet horror community a lot of shit because they've steered me in the wrong direction many times. I'm gonna bury the lead and say this time they got it right.
TJ,
This
I can't tell
was
you how excited I was. I was
I
more excited when I finished this movie because I couldn't wait to talk about it. I couldn't wait till
I
we got to the
I
podcast.
I have been thinking about this movie. I haven't not been able to stop thinking about this movie since I watched it.
Yeah.
This is incredible. This movie is absolutely amazing. But it does come with a caveat. This is not a movie I can recommend to everybody because this movie is
Gruesome.
absolutely brutal. And
Um,
now,
it does
uh,
not let up for the 2 hours. I mean, it's not even a roller coaster. It just
no,
keeps going up and up and up and up and ramping up. The tension never
it,
ceases. It is hard. It is a difficult watch, but in such a great way.
yeah, and just I'm just gonna say we're not gonna do like a full story recap, but we have to talk spoilers to talk about this movie. So if you want the very brief summary, both of us like this movie, I can already tell. So pause it right now, go watch the movie, and then come back because I don't know if we're like because I feel like that I really want to talk about some specific things in this film, and it's impossible to talk about without spoiling some of the things. Um, First and foremost, I gotta say, and I love the nihilism of this film, and in a weird way earlier in the year we watched Evil Dead Rise, which I also really liked because of its nihilism, right? Like in that movie, they summon the demons, and it's just like, well, you're just fucked. There's no like silver bullet to get rid of them. There's no like you're just
Meaning
fucked.
there
They're
is no hope in
right.
this.
It's just
Yeah.
absolutely nihilistic. Like it's over and you're done.
Yeah.
This movie carries that, but where Evil Dead, remember that we talked about it, Evil Dead has three kids in that movie. And one of those kids is a very small child, and that small child has plot armor like crazy in that movie. Like there's
Yeah.
situations where she should have died, and she just that of course she survives because it's an American mainstream movie. And we talked about it on the show. Like I think where if you do the most outlandish thing first, your audience doesn't know what the fuck to expect, and that's exactly what this movie does.
Yeah.
Um, there is a scene in this movie, and Chris's background illustrates this, where they cut back and forth between we all in the you as the audience knows that the family dog is possessed. That is also again, while I don't really feel like doing like a beat by beat story thing. Basic log line is this small town is has a infected demon person right there,
The possessed
and
one.
yeah, and they describe that the demon can just kind of jump from body to body, like it needs to be killed, but up until that point, it has like some nebulous powers. And anyway, so we all know that the dog is possessed. The family does not know the dog is possessed. So they keep cutting back and forth from the family to the girl and the dog. And they do it like three times. And I swear to God, the director's like, oh, you don't think we're going to do it, are you? You don't think we're going to do it.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, the dog attacks the little girl, and you're like, oh my fucking God.
In
Like,
the
and
most violent and gruesome way
oh
imaginable.
my God, it's so
I
violent and insane. And like, that's just like the tip of the iceberg too, because then there's a scene later on in the movie where the fucking mother who's also dead but like kind of like reanimated, there's this scene where she's walking down the street and she's literally like eating the brains out of her child's head. I
yeah.
mean, I was like, oh my fucking God. Like,
Yeah. These are
I mean,
certain, like I saw this scene behind me coming with the dog. I'm sure you did
what
too.
well,
Like
yeah, but I thought they were gonna fake you out. I because if
yeah.
it was any other movie, they're gonna tease it, but they're not gonna actually do it, right? Like
This is
they're
why
gonna
American films pale in comparison
Oh
to
yeah.
foreign films because they just don't give a shit about the unwritten rules. Like,
Yeah, no, and
the,
that's what I'm saying. Like, and I like you're right. Like you saw it coming, but at the same time, it's like I don't know.
you hoped it didn't.
In the back of my head, I was like, no, they're not going to do that. They're
Yeah,
not going to do that. And then they did it, and it's like so brutal and so like it's just it happens, and you're like, oh my god, like it happens so fast, it's almost hard to process. Like
yeah.
it's I also want to say what I really like about this movie, one of the things I really, really like about this movie is the world building in this movie, like the subtle world building, because this movie is a stealth post-apocalyptic movie, right? Like they make reference to how like basically like the age of God is over and like the churches are done because basically like demonic possession is just something everyone knows about and deals with. So
Yeah.
like it's over. Like it like I
I,
thought that alone
I
is
was
like
curious at first. I'm like, how come everyone seems so comfortable is not the word, but everyone's fully aware and believes
yeah,
in these demonic possessions. I was like, but it's like rural,
it's
I believe Argentina,
yeah.
and that's just like in a lot of rural areas around the world, like possession, like people believe in these sort of
Well,
things.
yeah, but I think in this movie, I think it's explicitly saying that like this is a bigger problem than
Yeah,
just here because like you even have a class of people that are trained to take care of these demonic possessions
right.
and they all know the rules and like I just I just thought that was so clever. Like there's it's a way to add so much texture to your film without like I feel like in a lesser movie they would have explained it and there would have been like sweeping shots of like a cityscape and what the major towns look like and all this stuff and it's like you don't need that like I
And the
just
way, yeah,
you know
the way
just
they incorporated the rules too, the way
loved it.
in the scene in which the grandma was in the back of the car
Oh my god, yeah.
and she was explaining to the grandchildren what the rules were for getting rid of a possessed one. There's like
Yeah,
seven rules. And I was like, this is so clever. Like, it's not, they're not spelling it out like we're idiots. She's doing it in a way that it's like,
yeah.
yeah,
It
this
would
is
be
common knowledge.
it
Everyone,
would be natural like it's like it's a very good way to write exposition, right? Because
yeah,
it is very it came off very naturalistic like and it
yeah.
seemed like some like a normal conversation that they would have. I I mean, I thought that so much of this writing was so clever. Like I love the fact so they find this guy, they find him, he's basically on this again in this big plot of like land that this that a couple families live on, I guess. And the
Mhm.
landlord basically finds out about this guy because what happens is the family that's harboring this guy it's like her son, I think, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it's a family member that's possessed, and they have been dealing with him for over a year, and they called the authorities, and they just never showed up. They think the cleaners or sweepers, I forget the word they use.
Um,
I think it
I
was cleaners, maybe,
yeah.
but again there is a it's implied that there is a specific sect. There's a job for people to do this kind of work. It happens so many
Cleaner.
times.
You were right. Cleaner.
Cleaner. Anyway, so that's kind of what propels this movie in the beginning because the two main characters, the brothers, they hear gunshots and then they go investigate, and there's a guy that's literally like halved in front of this person's house, and he's a cleaner, and that's when they find it out. And the landlord, they go to the landlord that owns the whole thing, and he's like, "We got to get rid of this guy," and blah blah blah. And then the fucking again the whole thing spirals out of control. But there's so many good scenes. The scene where you're with the landlord and his wife, and she's like, the fucking goat is possessed.
And she's pleading with him not to shoot the goat.
Yeah, and he does
She
it
knows
anyway.
that's one of the rules. You cannot shoot a possessed one.
Yeah, because then it's implied that it's like it's even more powerful, right?
Yeah.
And the fact that they got a goat to basically like do like the come at me bro thing was fucking amazing. And that scene too was so fucking like intense. I mean, it's one of the posters of the film with the lady holding the axe the wrong way, but
Yeah.
her just immediately just fucking ending herself with that axe, like, oh,
Oh
oh, mm,
no.
so good,
Chef's kiss.
so good. Oh my god.
And
And I just love
yeah,
that. And it's like you said in the beginning, like it doesn't let up. Like the
yeah.
movie just does not let up. And I thought that there's so many clever decisions in this movie. I really like the fact that the lead, and then you know me, and I'm terrible with names. He is a just thorough fuck up, and every
Pedro,
decision he
I
makes,
think.
Pedro, yes,
Yeah.
Pedro. Every decision he makes in this movie is the wrong decision, like every single one.
His life just seemed like, even up to leading up to this point, like a series of fuck ups. Like this guy
Yeah,
is just, he was non-existent in his kids'
in
lives.
his kid's
He
life. Yeah,
got divorced from his wife. Yeah, he just, he lives with his brother on a farm and
out in the middle of
out of
nowhere.
nowhere.
Yeah, and it's implied that he hasn't been around with his family, like his kids and stuff, for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like his every decision he makes is the wrong decision, and that carries through the entire movie.
Yeah.
And I thought that's a very clever, like I like that as a lead character. It's interesting, like and it's very different and against type. And again, like I think in a lesser movie or a Western movie, you have you if they ever remake this, like there will be like the lead character will not be such a fuck up, and he'll be more capable, and he'll try to figure something out to like overcome like the possessions or something. But you never get that in this. Like it feels completely hopeless like the entire time.
And even when he fucks up and you know he's fucking up, you feel even worse for him. Like at the
Yeah.
end, when he
Oh my
just
god.
collapses and is like, I mean, his life is over as he knows it. It's just like, damn. Like, even though we know he made the wrong decisions, in that moment, he thought he was doing what was right.
Yeah.
And it
Yeah,
just
and
has to
the
be,
one thing he thought he still had was his, like he has a severely like autistic child, and he thought that he got him out, and then you find that the final revelation is, oh no, 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 he's gone too. Also,
that one we shouldn't spoil, because that final
okay.
scene,
Oh my god.
I that's the most chilling scene, I feel like. No, there are so many good scenes in this, but that
There's a
one,
yeah.
I told my daughter, she was like, "What did you think of the movie?" And
You
I was
watch this
like,
with your kids?
she fell asleep in like the first 5 minutes. I was like, Harper, we need to watch this movie. I think I heard it got really good reviews. Thank God she fell asleep. But well, I would have made her leave the room
Yeah,
after the first 10 minutes.
yeah.
But I told her, I was like, you will not believe. I was like, you cannot, like, you won't, you'll be watching Texas Chainsaw Massacre before you watch this. Like,
Yeah.
this
Oh
is
yeah.
just, this movie is so messed up on so many levels. But it, like you said, it sticks with you. Like, I cannot stop thinking about this
Well,
movie.
I think too, like what it is that it builds. It doesn't feel like cheap or like shocking to be shocking.
Yeah.
Like I think like it does a very good job at keeping things like grounded and like haunting. Like I don't know, like the
Yeah.
way that even like in the most like violent scenes in this movie, like they don't stick with them very long. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like that the brain eating scene literally lasts for like half a second. But
Right.
you see it, it's enough to see it, and you're like, you know what I mean? Like I feel like you know, like we watch Saw, and like a movie like Saw again with all the editing, and like I can see in my mind's eye the terrible like Western remake of this where it's like, you know, you see like her lips like falling with blood, and then you see the kid's
Right.
head, and then it cuts to her, and it's like, and there's like fucking like, you know, like cut music where it's like ching, ching, it's like, but they don't have any of that. It's all very minimalist and like very just like you just have to deal with it. You know, I think that's like one thing that I've always respected about, you know, very brutal movies. I think the best thing you can do is stick with something or make people deal with what they're watching and
Yeah.
don't add a bunch of movie shit. You know, I know we talked about that in Saw, and this is like a prime example of that. And also just like this movie does an incredible job with set pieces. Like there's a scene later in this movie where they come across this like school full of like basically like undead children. And that alone is like super unsettling. Like,
Yeah.
but then you find that the infected guy is underneath this stage with just piles and piles of dead bodies, and it's
Again,
like
I did not see that coming. I don't know about you, but I was,
no, no. And
yeah.
then like the way that scene ends, where like again the lead character is an idiot, and he's like, "Oh, they say there's an axe over here," and the lady that, so Pedro, it's his aunt. Is Pedro and him aren't brothers, right? I'm sorry, I think I said they're brothers. I think they're just friends. They're not brothers, right?
Who?
I
Which
don't.
ones?
Pedro and the other
The
guy in them,
I think they're brothers.
are
And
they brothers?
Jaime, yeah,
Jaime.
they're brothers.
Okay.
Jaime, I think it's
So
pronounced.
the lady that they help, that isn't that she's related to Jaime too, right? If I remember
Um,
correct.
she was a former cleaner and friend
Cleaner.
of Jaime.
Oh, she's just a friend of
She's
Jaime.
just a
Yeah, okay.
friend, yeah.
But like she's telling Pedro in this schoolhouse scene, like, don't listen to them. They're
Yeah.
fucking lying. They are possessed. And he's like, no, 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 I'll do it. And then like she's fucking brutally murdered. Also, her death scene where she's literally like she's an old
Oh
lady,
God.
and these
Yeah.
kids are literally just like kids just like slicing and stabbing at her. It's like, oh my God.
I mean, we're laughing, but it's because it is just so unrelentingly brutal. It's like nothing you've seen before. I feel
Yeah,
like,
and again, like not to harp on it too much, but it's all shot like very well. It's like naturalish lighting. Like
yeah.
it's not like it's not cheesy.
The,
It's not overexposed. It's not full of cuts. It's not. It
yeah.
is so not westernized, and I can't love that. Like I just love that so much. I can't love that anymore. You know.
So I didn't know this before just a couple minutes ago when I was looking it up. The director, you may have already known this, also did Terrified.
Yeah, I haven't watched it. I've seen the
Okay.
poster on like Amazon a million times. I really need to watch it now because I think
Also
that's
a very decent it wasn't up to this level.
it
Also a
was
very
good.
decent horror film.
I'll have
I
to
had
check it
no
out.
idea it was the same director.
I'll have
But
to check it out. The
I'm not
poster looks
surprised. The writing in it is excellent. Not
yeah,
nearly as much gore and I mean it's more of a thriller.
I'll have to
Uh,
check it out.
yeah,
Because
it's worth a watch.
I think the thing too, like we talk about how this movie sticks with you. Like there's real characters in this movie, right? Like
Yeah,
everybody feels like a real person. It doesn't feel, you know what I mean? It doesn't just feel like you're just trying to get from one set piece to the next.
yeah.
And also like the lady that we talked about in the movie, the old lady that used to be a cleaner, like she has a history and she has like these specialized tools, but like you just get like a little like a little tiny glimpse of that,
Yeah.
and I love that. I again, the world building really like stuck with me, and I love that. And I love like the little like, there's so many little nuances, little pieces of spice that they threw in here that sprinkled into the soup that made it taste so good. Um, where she sees the autistic son and she's like, "Oh, he's possessed too. Look at his fucking hands, look at his feet." But like the demon got into his mind, but like since his mind is, clouded and, kind of fucked up, like it can't get out. So like even though what happens at the end is kind of telegraphed, you sort of forget. And I mean, I don't know. There's that I'm not going to explain the ending, but like the scene, there's a scene where like it's literally like the penultimate scene where like that son, when the father
Oh,
realizes what's going on and he just kind of looks at him, it's like, oh my God.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, oh,
I know
oh.
my heart stopped when that happened. I was like, "Oh," and even you talking about the scene with the grandma, like
Yes,
when she was in the chair? Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, that
I
was
mean, it's so
that
fucking good. And like I like there's nothing, I literally feel like there's nothing I didn't like about this movie. Like I think this movie is just a fucking triumph. Like I just thought, like I feel like this is something, this to me is like on the level of like Hereditary or Midsummer. Like this is something
yeah.
I'm going to rewatch a lot. Like and recommend a lot.
Do you think
And
it's any coincidence that most of the top films that we've watched are foreign films?
Uh no. I mean, yeah, yes and no. I mean, I think you said it best where I think that foreign films have the advantage of not being made in America. So like as much as like I you know, there are I'm not cynical enough to be like, oh, there's no good American movies, because that's not true.
Hmm.
But like Evil Dead Rise, for example, that's a studio movie. It's part of a franchise. Like they're not gonna let you do certain
I'm not gonna
things
let
in
you
that
take it
kind of
too
movie.
far. Yeah,
I mean, they're not gonna let you do certain things just in a mainstream movie, period, right? Like if it's gonna be on in theaters, somebody is overseeing it and someone's
yeah,
gonna tell you no. And
yeah.
you don't have that with stuff like this. This is a low budget Argentinian film, and they just, you know, I think that the director and the writer are the same person, right? I think that this is like a one man production
It's a
basically.
one man production.
So
Mhm.
like this is just one guy's artistic vision, and like it shows, right? Like I think that's why, and I think with a lot of foreign movies that's what it is. And I could be completely wrong. You know, I don't know the you know how productions go in a lot of other countries, but like from what I understand, you know, it's not like you're not working for fucking Paramount, you're not working for, you know, Fox or Disney, you know what I mean? So there's not that level of oversight. And I think that helps. Like I think you don't have it's all about the vision of the filmmaker and not about worrying about demographics or how it's going to sell, or you know what I mean? Like let the movie be good, and then we'll see what happens. Like I, you know, and this movie again, like I said in the very beginning of the show, this isn't going to be for everybody. I mean, this is a level of violence where I could see people just being
Turning off
totally
after like a
turned off.
certain scene.
They
Yeah,
can't. I mean, some people just can't handle violence, and that's not a slight against. I mean,
it's
some people just,
triggering for some people.
well,
Yeah,
especially stuff with kids. There, I know
yeah.
there's people that have kids, and they as soon as they see violence against children, it's just like
Right.
it's a non-starter, and I respect that, and I'm not trying to diminish people's taste. I'm just saying that, you know, that alone is going to alienate some of your audience. Just being
Yeah.
subtitled alienates a lot of people, which we've talked about on the show before. I think it's absurd, but you know, like I just think that the creativity in this movie is through the roof. Like I think that's another thing that you can just add on where it just felt so fresh, right? Like we've watched possession movies, right? Like Talk to Me, possession movie, good possession movie too, solid movie.
Mhm.
But like that's not like this like, whereas like Talk to Me, again, I still enjoyed the movie, I'm not saying I didn't. It didn't give you anything new as far as like what it's like to be possessed. I enjoyed a lot of the aspects of the movie, and I liked like their take on the afterlife and that kind of thing. But as far as like once you get possessed, like you talk in a weird voice, and it's The Exorcist, right? But
Mhm.
this movie is like you can't compare this to Talk to Me. Like
Yeah,
the way they set things up, like almost like demonic possession in this movie is treated almost like a fucking virus, or
yeah.
like, you know what I mean? And I also love the idea that what this is hinting at is that not only did the main character ruin his life, I think that he has ended the entire world. I think that the thing that's birthed is literally supposed to be like the ultimate evil, like
I
the
mean,
Antichrist.
it's like it's a pandemic,
Yeah,
and
right. Exactly. Exactly. Also,
once you release it, it's almost impossible to bottle. And we're not going to give away the last scene, but you'll know once you see it. Like
uh,
DJ had
yeah,
stated, this is very nihilistic in the sense that there is very little hope at the end of this
yeah.
movie, and
There's
all the
none.
characters involved know it.
Also, the touch where like the ultimate evil is birthed, and it's this child that's just like covered in blood.
That's the
But
one I
he
wasn't
like,
going to give away, but
oh, I thought you were talking about
it's
I thought
fine.
you were talking about the other. I thought you were talking about the kid, the son ending
Oh
thing.
no, no, no.
But
That one too, but that one's very good.
the choice to like have him like he like walks the ultimate evil like walks past him and
Oh yeah.
like wipes his hand, and he can't get the blood off his face. Like, oh my god,
Oh my gosh.
come
Yeah.
on, dude, come on. I mean, it's just so good. It's so fucking good. Like, I'm blown away by this movie, man. I genuinely am. Like, I I don't know. This is gonna end up in my top, like, top movies of 2023.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
like
If
I
not the
think
top for me. Like this is
so good.
I feel like it was made by a true horror fan. Somebody who just really, really like I don't know personally what this director's influences are, but it just felt like it spoke to me on so many levels.
Well,
Where I was
that's a good thing to bring up too, because it doesn't feel derivative.
no,
Like, I
it's
don't know
not
what
at
his
all.
influences are either, because it doesn't really feel like anything I've seen before.
Yeah,
You know, like like I talked about Midsummer a second ago, and I love Midsummer. It's one of my favorite movies the last like 10 years. But it is derivative of The Wicker Man. Like,
yeah,
and Ari Aster admits that. And like, again, it's no slight against that movie. I think that if you simplify that movie down to like, oh, it's just The Wicker Man, it's like, well, you didn't watch the movie, because like it's
you're
not
right.
like
Yeah,
it's not at all. But my point is that, like, I noticed that comparison immediately when I saw the movie. But like with this, it's like the only thing I could compare it to is like I don't know if you've ever read any Cormac McCarthy books, but like it reminded me of Cormac McCarthy books, because his books are like hyper nihilistic, and like there's never any hope, and everyone's a failure, and there's evil everywhere, and the world is cruel, and like that's literary references. Like, it
yeah.
didn't remind me of like a film. Like, I just thought, like, I mean, and again, like, there's like a feeling that I wish I could bottle, where it's when you see a movie that's like just really great, and the final, the credits start to roll, and you're just awash with this kind of, it's like a euphoria kind of feeling. You're like, oh my god, like that, what did I just take in? Like,
Yeah,
and your mind is racing, and it's a great feeling. And like, it hasn't left me in the week since I watched it. Like, I've been
yeah.
thinking about it, I've been talking about it, and I think this is just really, really fucking special. And yeah, I hope people watch it. Like, I really do. Like, if the seven people that listen to us, if five of them watch the fucking movie, I mean, it's great. It really is great. And it's, in a world full of fucking like the Nun 2 and Saw X,
Oh,
and you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
be this, you know what I mean? Like, be something.
Be
This is,
more like this movie,
well, and
and
even
you'll make me and TJ very happy.
well, and even like even on a grander scale, like, forget like horror movies, but like, I feel like just like so many movies are just derivative and not creative, and everything's a remake, and everything is something you've seen before, and everything's part of a franchise. And then it's like, remember when movies were just fucking creative stories? Like, that's what this is. Like,
Yeah. I
again,
really wish
I don't
that
mean to.
people who, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No,
I
fine.
really wish that people that that are listening to this podcast could see your background, which is the
they
original
they can
Possessed
they can
ones.
see it on the video version,
Yes. So if you watch the YouTube video, you can
or
see
if
it.
we
But
put any TikTok clips out.
it,
You should clip
this,
this one, because this is still trending on the TikToks.
is it? All right.
Oh yeah.
We're gonna blow up after this video. Just watch.
Hell yeah.
But this this was really the hook for me. When I first saw this character, I was like, holy shit, this guy looks like Pizza the Hut.
Dude,
And
he looks so
he looks
gross.
so bad.
Oh,
And
and then when they had to move him, and
oh,
like, oh, he like ripped through the sheets, and like, oh
oh,
god.
he's like leaking pus out of his mouth right near TJ's head.
Oh, he looked so disgusting. Also, like, great effects, like
Oh my
great
God.
makeup.
Amazing. I can't say enough good things about this. Just if the movie was just about this guy, I would be happy.
Yeah, and
Uh,
that's the other thing. He's like barely in it. Like,
yeah.
I mean, he's the central part of the movie, but he's kind of barely in the movie.
Yeah, this poor guy. I hope I'm sure his career is going to take off after this. Whoever that guy is.
Yeah.
I hope
I
so.
This is that's another thing though, where it's like, this is a movie that obviously like couldn't afford CGI. So like the practical effects are so well done in this
Yeah,
movie. Like they look so great.
yeah,
And like, I don't know. Again, there's just everything. Every decision was the right decision in this movie, in my opinion. Like it's the length is perfect. Like it doesn't overstay its welcome. I just love. So again, I can't really think of anything I didn't like.
yeah.
I didn't like the autistic kid in the very beginning, just because I just found him annoying. I understand why, but it's just tough to listen to somebody go, it's
But then you
again,
understand like why, not even at the end of the movie, but you start to understand why they chose to make this character autistic.
oh, it's perfect. Like
Yeah,
it's the right decision. Also, and I might be doing a little work for the movie, but I mean, I assumed that the reason, I mean, the autistic kid is the oldest kid. I think that maybe like the father left because he couldn't handle dealing with the
probably.
son. You know what I mean? Like I don't know
Yeah,
if there's any drop lines there, but I definitely could see why that's why he's, out on his own or whatever.
yeah.
Because are the other two kids are his, because his wife is like remarried. I don't know if
The two boys are his, and then
the
the
two boys and
girl
the
behind me.
daughter is
Yeah,
not.
that's
That's right.
his yeah, that's his wife's daughter with the other guy.
Yeah. Also, that other guy sucks. Like other guy is like such a cuck. Like that guy is terrible.
That guy was stuck between a rock and a hard place.
Oh, you could say that again. Yeah. That guy.
There was no good room for him to be in. He was that poor sap. I mean, he didn't stand a chance. He didn't know what to do. He was
Yeah. Yeah.
okay.
He
My battery is dying quicker than I thought it would. So let's do scores. Go
All
ahead.
right.
Yeah.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, go for it.
It's I'm, you know what, I'm gonna go, it is a 10 plus. This is an 11. This is, to me, this movie is perfect. I
Yeah.
absolutely loved it. It is, again, the highest recommendation for me. I think that I can't say enough good things about this movie. Again, with the warning, where if you are averse to like extreme violence, it might not be for you. But also, like at the same time, like I don't know, maybe watch it, because that's, at the end of the day, the things that are violent and disgusting are supposed to stick with you. That's kind of
Yeah.
the point. So I loved it. So 10 plus, the highest score I could ever give this thing. This is perfect. I loved it. How
Well,
about you?
listener, this is going to be the highest scored movie that we've done to date on this podcast because I feel the same way.
Oh my
10,
god.
10 or more. If we could go higher, which, we have self-imposed rules, but we can
Yeah.
go, sure, we can, fuck it. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's go up to
To
12.
20. Yeah, it's 100. It's
So, I can't say enough good things about this movie. I wish there were more movies like it. I will be rewatching it again this weekend.
oh yeah.
Um, to see if there's anything that I missed. Uh, I just love this movie, and I'll be the one advocating for this movie online, just like other people did before us. I mean, really, like the horror community on Facebook kept pushing this movie out.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
Yeah.
I get it. We got to watch it. So I'm glad that
It's
you
the
pushed to
one
watch it.
time. It's the
Yeah,
one time they were right. Also, I don't think we mentioned this. This is a Shutter exclusive, and it's on Shutter. So again, Shutter with the
with the
fucking
win.
the
And
big W.
I don't know how long Shutter's been around for. I think it's been around for quite a few
Couple
years
years.
now.
Yeah.
But this is its first Spanish language production,
Oh
which
wow.
kudos to them. They knocked it out of the park. They picked a good
Oh
one.
my god. I mean, yeah. Shutter continues to be like one of the greatest like streaming services. Like I feel like I'm always impressed by their content, and now that they're like putting out more of a steady stream of original content, like
Yeah.
it's amazing.
And
Like
if anyone from Shutter that works at Shutter is listening, TJ and I are more than happy to be scouts for your
oh
next
yeah,
movie.
oh
We will read
absolutely.
as many scripts as you need. We will go on location to any corner of this God's green earth and find you the next
That'd be
When Evil
incredible.
Lurks. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely,
All
absolutely.
right.
I'd love that. All right, I think that's the show.
That's
But
it.
go watch it. Go watch When Evil Lurks, man. I think it's a really special film. Like, and I don't say that lightly. Like, this is something that people are going to be talking about for a long time.
Yeah. TJ, when I die, play this at my funeral, okay?
The movie.
Yep.
Also,
I want you to do the eulogy and then play this
there's
immediately
there's there's
afterwards.
no way that I'm outlasting you, but that's but anyway,
All right. Love you,
hopefully
buddy.
we all just die at the same time, because I couldn't bear to be without you, buddy.
Death pact. Okay.
That's right. All right, bye
All
everybody.
right. See ya.